Good evening and a warm welcome to all of you. Fear and self-doubt are unquestionably two of the most common roadblocks to success in life. Large percentage of the population allows fear and self-doubt to hold them hostage to a reality they don't love. Self-doubt amplifies fear. It's difficult to admit our fears. We don't want to be seen as weak or incompetent. Often, this leads us to burying our fears under the carpet. Meanwhile, they steal our self confidence and pile on self doubt. Fear amplifies self doubt. Joining us today, Trish Summerfield. She was born in New Zealand but has spent most of her life in Asia. She is an educator and personal development trainer. She is the author of 4 books, writer, and presenter of over 150 television programs. Her passion is Raj Yoga meditation and sharing the magic of this practice with others. So let us all welcome her today. Good evening.
Good evening,
Welcome.
Devin, and really thank you so much. It's my privilege to be with you all, and thank you so much, Devin, for inviting me. But yeah, really very good evening to everyone, and thank you for coming on. Yeah, lovely to be back with you.
Thank you
I
for
think
joining us.
I was with you. I'm not sure exactly how long ago, but within the past year, wasn't it? So lovely to be back.
That's right. Yeah. So over to you now.
Thank you. Thank you. So everyone, I think all of us, we have a lot of different information that we hold about this topic. And as Jabin was introducing, they're very much connected, self-doubt and fear. And because we're all wise and we're all bringing our own wisdom, I thought to make today quite experiential. And so I would like you just to kind of travel with me as I share some concepts about self-belief and really self-perception. And I'd like to go through that, and then we'll look a little bit more at tools to strengthen our self-belief in a very positive way. But let's go on a journey. And so for this, I'm going to just use a little image, a card. And I'd like you just to imagine that you have the self-belief, and it's an experiment, right? That you in some way are less valuable than others. You look out at the world with a feeling that you have less value than others. Others are more valuable, maybe in whatever way you measure, because we all measure in different ways. If we have this way of looking, we might measure according to possession or position or appearance or skill or intelligence. But when you stand here, when you hold this, you look out at the world with a feeling that you have less value. I just want you to imagine that inside. I hope that none of us are there, but let's just experiment with it. The feeling that I have less value, others have more value than me. And if I'm holding that perception inside and I look out at the world, how will I see the world around me when I'm living here? And if I receive a criticism from others, what can happen to me? What can it do inside in the mind and the emotion? So that's, sorry? Did you want to share?
Good enough.
Not good enough. Okay,
Yes.
absolutely. We feel not good enough. Yeah, right? Not good enough. Others are much better. And so when you're kind of feeling like that, that you're not good enough, then what happens to your level of energy or inner power?
Oh.
Exactly. It's low, and then afraid, maybe afraid to try. And so this is one way. Yeah. This is one way of
Small.
perceiving ourselves. Yes, small. Yeah, small. And this is one way of perceiving ourselves, that we feel we have less value. And then, of course, self-doubt, lack of confidence, and fear. Yet on the other side, and if I can bring in another card, on this side, we can say it's the opposite of feeling I have no value. Here, I feel I have more value, actually more value than others. And others have less value than me. So when I look out through this perception, I'm always feeling that I'm better than them. And again, whatever way I'm measuring, skill, possession, connections, whatever, education, whatever it is, I will feel that I am better and they are less. So what will happen if I stand here and I perceive myself in relation to others in the world from this eye, that I have more value, they have less? And you just kind of stand in that for a moment. Anyone, how will that feel? I know it's not so easy maybe at this time to, yes, if someone wants to.
Yeah, I feel I have something to share.
Mm-hmm.
I have something to
Yes,
share.
yes,
So I
yes.
have kind of strength inside.
You have what inside, pardon?
Strength. Strength.
Strength.
Strength.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And this is a really good point. Often people say that initially, when especially if I've come from here feeling I'm less and I have less value, and I go over here and I feel I have more value, I have a lot of value, so much so that I'm more valuable than others. So exactly, as you were saying, you can feel initially strength. You know, I looked at this a few weeks ago. I did a seminar where I brought in this topic, and we had 500 university students, and was very interesting and a very big gathering. And I was walking around and around connecting with them. And many of them said initially they feel strong, especially if you've been standing here feeling you're less valuable. And now here I have value. I have more value than others. But then if we look at it, where did I get my value from? I got my value from feeling others are less than me, right? I compared myself and saw myself as better than others. And I got a sense of who I am or security by putting others as less than me on some way, in some level. So if tomorrow someone comes along and I perceive them as having more value than me, what's going to happen? And the answer is I'm going to lose my confidence, because there'll always be someone that then I will perceive to have more value, because I'm basing my sense of value on something that I can't control and something that is changeable. So if it's on something such as possessions or parents, it's all changeable, even position. And so either one of these two, if I'm standing here and feeling I'm less than others, or standing here and looking out and perceiving I'm more than others or better than others, both of these are going to hold self-doubt. and some level of fear. And you know what's happening is recently, because there's so much change happening, the fear will be heightened, because from day to day, possessions can be lost, position can be lost. So if I'm standing in either of these shoes or perspectives and looking out at the world, then there will always be self-doubt, insecurity, and fear. And so you imagine if these two go to a party, right? They go to a party and this one opens the door, right? This is self-doubt, feeling I'm less than others. Enters the party. It's a very big party, very extravagant party. But what's this one going to be feeling as they look around the room? Any idea what kind of thoughts might be going on inside their head? Anyone? This low, that I'm less than others. Anyone? Or I know it's not so easy for you to, but at least think about it. I'm sure you've got lots of different answers.
I think if it happens to me,
yes.
I think if it happens to me, I'm in the low confidence state, and I enter a party and I look around and everybody looks so high than me, so greater than me, and then I start to feel that I don't belong here. I feel I'm lost.
Exactly.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I'll feel lost. I'll feel I don't belong here. I'll feel uncomfortable. I might try and think how I can leave. And certainly there'll be, a feeling of discomfort. Yeah, a feeling of discomfort. They look better, or why did I wear this dress or these clothes? Or, you know, I'll regret my decision to come, or I'll feel alone. And so I'll also put out that kind of a vibration, that kind of an energy, and people will notice that. But yet, if I'm here and I go to the party and I'm feeling that I'm better than others, when I enter the room and I enter the party, again, can you feel what will be the energy? I feel I'm less or more than others. So I'll look around, I'll see everyone all dressed, and I'll feel arrogant. Yeah, I'll feel that I'm better than them in some way. And there'll be sort of thoughts of judgment on some level to one extreme or another will be going through my mind. So if you think about it, this also will carry self-doubt. Again, because someone may come along at the party that is in a way that I feel is much better than me, because I'm looking out and comparing. And so really either one of these perceptions is going to leave me in self-doubt and fear to one level or another. And if you think about it right now in the world, which one is more common? Both are uncomfortable, right? Which one is more common? Anyone?
Right.
I think the red one.
The red one. The red one. Okay, this one. So it depends. And yes, but either one of them is going to be uncomfortable. And I think when we're looking at and feeling we have less value, we tend to do more damage to ourselves. We hurt ourselves with our self-doubt. But when we're standing here and we feel we have more value and others have less value, at least through our attitude, but often through our words and our behavior, we hurt others a lot. We won't listen, we won't be receptive to their ideas, and they will feel, even through our attitude, that we don't value them, we don't appreciate them. So these are two ways of perceiving the world, but fortunately, they're not the only two ways. And I want you just to think for a moment, what is another way of living and perceiving the world that will bring me security or comfort, that will allow me to be stable when challenge is happening and a lot of change is happening. And really, as Jabin was saying in the beginning, not get caught in that process of fear coming out from my self-doubt. And I think this is the one in the middle. And when I live in the middle, and it doesn't really matter if you can see it or not, but when I live in the middle, and I'd like us all just to experiment with it now. Feel that you are living in the middle. And in the middle, you are experiencing a feeling of true self-belief and self-value. From the inside, you know your uniqueness, you know your own value, and you feel it innately from within. You know you have a lot of strength, inner beauty, and qualities. And you know that no one in the world can be you but you, so no one can replace you. You're irreplaceable. No one can play your role but you. So you feel this deeply inside, and then you go to the party. What happens if you go to the party from this inner state of true self-belief? You open the door, how will you feel?
Confident.
Yeah, confident from the inside.
Inside. And happy.
Yeah, and happy. And when you look around the room and you see others in the room, how will you feel when you look at them? How will your perception be?
Not judgmental?
Exactly. And when we are not judgmental, what are we? What are we, Jabin? When we're free from that vibration, because judgment is like a very low vibration. So when I go into true self-belief, self-worth, I go to a much higher vibration, and judgment is down here. So when I'm not judgmental, what am I?
I feel safe.
I
feel safe.
I feel safe, absolutely.
Or secure.
Safe and secure. And this is such a beautiful state. And so if I'm in this state of safety and security, when I look around, as Jabin said, I don't judge. I can even get to the level of appreciating. I appreciate. I can enjoy people. And I can see their strengths. I can enjoy what they're wearing. I can enjoy what they're saying. And if sometimes I'm alone, I can also enjoy being with myself. And so it's really a question of where I'm living, the way that I'm perceiving myself in relation to the world. And if I live in the middle, and I live from the inside out, that my sense of who I am is beyond every role I play, is beyond anything to do with appearance or possessions. I enjoy them, I use them, but I exist beyond them. When I'm living from this state and looking at the world at this way, I don't have doubt. I'm safe and I'm secure, and fear is vibrating so low, on such a low vibration. When I'm in this state of inner security and self-belief, I'm so much higher. I'm not connecting with the vibration of fear any longer. And so that's really what I wanted to kind of introduce. And just that if we start to feel fear, or we start to feel any kind of insecurity, just to step back and say, where am I perceiving from? And I promise you will always find that you have stepped out. Either you are looking out at the world through a perception that you're less than others or more. And if you just simply realign re-enter that inner state of true self-belief, self-worth, and look out through those eyes, then again you'll feel secure. And in terms of this, how can we support ourselves to always live here? Well, one is that checking, but then also to feed it. Because if you look around in whichever country you're in, I think many of you are in Jakarta, but others might be in different places. If you look around the city and the main shopping area, are the things that you can buy in the downtown, are they things that support this inner self-belief? Are they things that support you living in the middle and strengthen it?
Not really.
All right, no, because why? Shops don't make money when I live in the middle, but if they can make me feel insecure, right? If I'm here, and then I sometimes can think if I buy something or I have something, that will make me stronger. So when I look around me, I can't expect things to reinforce this inner self-belief. I have to create it. I have to do my own work. And I have to understand that the very first thing is that I should never compare. I should never, ever compare myself with anyone, ever, ever, ever. And you know, when they talk about the 7 sins, I think this should also be a sin because the damage is so great. When we compare ourselves with others, then automatically we lose our self-love, our self-belief. And if we compare ourselves above or better than others, we damage their self-belief. So either we hurt ourselves or we hurt others. Even if we don't say things in words to others, vibrationally, we hurt them. And so the first thing to live in the middle is never compare. And I know that sometimes, and you know, in some countries, parents say, you know, out of wanting to do the best for their children, I compare my children because I want to motivate them. And even sometimes adults feel that if they don't compare themselves, they'll become complacent and they won't challenge themselves. But no, and particularly children, when we compare them, it can leave them with so much damage that years and years later, and I've worked with people, sometimes 60 years later, they are still suffering from that. And so no, never compare. I think do what Celine Dion does. She says that every time she goes to perform, and before she goes onto the stage, she says, let me perform better than last time. Let me make it higher, better, stronger, more beautiful than last time. So she challenges herself, but only with herself, not with anyone else. And so it doesn't mean we become passive. No, we challenge ourselves, but with ourselves, nobody else. And so that very first one, never compare. And the second, feed it. Feed it and feel it. So not in a passive way where you know, affirmations are wonderful, they're very powerful, but feed it based on the understanding it's real. It's not an illusion. It's not something I'm trying to convince myself of. I have value. I am so special and valuable, and each and every one of us is. Everyone is. That's a truth. It's like a law of life. When I move away from that and I say, I don't have value, just feel it again. When I do that, what happens internally? I think someone shared that they feel weak, but you send very low vibrations to your body when you say you don't have value and you have self-doubt. You damage your body immediately, and you lower the vibration around you. And when you go over this side and you feel you're better than others and you have this arrogance, you also affect your heart, and it creates tension. There's tension behind arrogance. So both of these states are totally unnatural for the body, right? But when I'm living in the middle and I feel in a very pure way my value and my self-love, my self-worth, and I breathe that in and I connect with it. Can you feel that, what it does to your body? It's like really in harmony with your whole body. Your body just loves it, right? It just melts around it. And your heart loves it. And there's no tension. So this is our natural way of being. And sometimes what's happened as we've journeyed through time, we have disconnected with it. But all we need to do now is realign, reconnect, feed it very, very clearly and firmly, and never accept any other belief than I have so much value. I am so beautiful from the inside out. I'm peaceful and positive and kind, just all the most beautiful things, because that's all each and every one of us is and always will be. So that feeding it often when you wake up, when you drink something, when you move through the day from the inside out. And I think the next tool is, if I do these two things, if I never compare, if I feed it very deeply, if when I shift offline, I realign, if I still feel inside me, there's something really deep that's saying, no, you're not. You don't have value. I still find on a deep kind of emotional level, a feeling of a lack of self-worth is there, then I may have to do some inner healing. I may have to do some uncovery and understand, well, perhaps as I've gone along my journey, I've picked up something quite deep. And I just want to share, I have loads of stories, and I think you probably all do, but just recently, one lady said to me, when I was young, and she came to me because she has a feeling of really low self-worth here, even though she's extremely rich, quite famous, all of that, all of the, outside looks really amazing, extremely beautiful, all of that. All the outside looks amazing, looks perfect if you look at that level, but internally something else was happening, and a lot of insecurity and sorrow. And so she told me, when I was young, I grew up in the war, and we were very, very poor. Of course, like most people, there wasn't a lot of food to go around. And what would happen almost every day when I was a little girl, like 5, 6, going to school, I would get ready and I would see my mum cooking, breakfast, lunch, and our neighbor would appear, and my mother would give her our food. And very often I went to school with no lunch and no breakfast. And as a little girl like that, when we're small like that, we perceive things in, often different ways. And she said, I felt it was because my mum didn't love me and I wasn't good enough. And that's why every day, almost, she would give our breakfast and lunch away. And, so she, when I met her recently, she was maybe around 60. And so she had lived 55 years of her life with that belief that she was not good enough and that her mother had done that because, she wasn't good enough. But when we looked at it and uncovered it, no, actually her mother was afraid of the neighbor. And it deeply, deeply hurt her mother to do that. And, of course, that was the story. But this lady had lived believing herself not to have value because of that event. And So sometimes things can happen, and then we build a way of looking and talking to ourselves that is so hurtful, so damaging, and it just becomes an absolute automatic default way of perceiving ourselves. And so if you do those first steps and you feel, no, there's something deeper, then look with courage and honesty at the self and look to see if there was an event that happened. And, you know, without blaming, without judging, with the feeling to understand. And if you find such an event, be very gentle with yourself, be in a safe place, and gently, gently work through healing it. First of all, you might notice that you hold your breath and feel tension, so practice deep stomach or deep lower lung breathing, and just let your whole body relax. Let your mind, let your emotions talk and tell you what they're feeling. And they might say something hurt me in a very big way, and just be able to listen to yourself. So that hurt me all those years ago, until finally your mind feels listened to and it's ready to move beyond and to reconnect with its inner true self-worth. And gently each day nurture it till it becomes natural again. And yeah, I think that can take time and patience, and journaling can help. The conversation between the hurt self and the higher self, that can also be very, very valuable. But then the fourth thing I wanted to share, and I think this is a reality right now, since the last year, it's almost an anniversary that we're celebrating, or I don't know if you would call it a celebration, but it is 1 year where the world's vibration has dropped incredibly so. And so in order to remain in the middle, I have to vibrate higher, because fear and doubt is omnipresent in a sense. It's prevalent. It is a very strong and common vibration. And if I enter an atmosphere and I'm not vibrating higher than that, I will pick that up. And I want to just, share a story. I mean, it's a little bit strange story, but I think it's worth sharing because it just shows how we pick up vibration if we are not vibrating higher and being very, very alert. And I do think now in the world, it's a time where we have to really be a master and be very alert. Several years ago, maybe about 7 years ago, when there was a volcano went off in Iceland. And at that time, I was in Belgium. I was at a conference, and I was getting ready to take the flight out with a friend. And what happened, because of the volcano in Iceland, then no flights could leave Belgium. And we had different options, but finally we decided to stay. We stayed in a friend's house, and we went into Brussels from Antwerp. And I went, so we were staying with a friend, two of us, and so we helped with the cooking because the friend was working. And so I went to the supermarket, and it was a very good, very upmarket area of Brussels, very expensive area. And I walked down the street, and as I went to the supermarket, I turned down an alley. And again, it was a very upmarket area, a very upmarket looking alley. But what happened, as I turned into the alley, I felt this wave, literally a wave of terrible vibration. And I sort of like looked around, what is that? Where is that coming from? There's nothing visible. It wasn't a smell, it was a vibration. And I thought, wow, that is really unusual. And I just sort of, because I'm a meditator, I went into a higher vibration, and of course that left me, but I thought that is amazing. And so I said to my friend, this is what happened. She said, I'm going to go there. And so she did, and she visited, and she felt the same thing when she turned the corner. And so that evening, we met our friend that was local to Brussels, and we told her about it. And she said, well, okay, tell me where it was. We described it to her. She said, oh, you know, that place looks really good in the day, but what happens there at night? That alleyway is an area for drug dealing and prostitution. And the people drive by in their cars and pick up their drugs and, you know, hire a sex worker. And I thought, oh my goodness, isn't that amazing? Both of us felt that vibration. And so that just was so convincing to me, how much vibration affects us. And perhaps if I hadn't have been a meditator, I might not have been so alert, and I just kind of would just take it in. But all the time, every human being in the world is vibrating. Of course, it's souls vibrating. We're all, you know, the inner being or self or soul, whatever you want to call it, is vibrating. At every second, every millisecond, we're vibrating. And the first impact is on the body. The body is affected first by our thoughts, belief, perception, but then the atmosphere. And so because of the virus and what's happened over this 1 year, the extraordinary impact on the world as we know it, the global vibration has dropped extremely. And so I need to actively vibrate much, much higher than the global vibration to avoid being affected by it, but also to help raise it. Our work now, the best service that we can do now is to raise the vibration and help people reconnect with hope. Because what we know and what we can be certain of, after the night is always the day. And those of us that live in countries where we have 4 seasons, we know, you know, just after the coldest point in winter, then will come the spring. And so, yes, it will come, and the world will go back to a very beautiful vibration, right? Once again, that's absolutely certain. Yet, let me be part of raising the vibration, not get caught in this low vibration that's very much omnipresent right now. Today was just a few thoughts that I had, and I hope that in some way that they might be useful. And I know that you're already got lots of wisdom, so there might have been something that was refreshing or refreshed you in some way. And if it's okay, I'd like to hand back to Jabine, and I think that she mentioned we may have some questions or sharing.
Yes, sister, thank you. That was very nice to vibrate higher what you shared, and the few points that, if not anything else, maybe we can try journaling. Because it seems to me what I took today is that we are always in this seesaw. We are juggling between the red card and the white card throughout the day. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to stabilize, to be in between. So maybe if you could, before we begin with the question and answer, if you could lead us to a guided meditation or some thoughts that we could have the minute we pick up, like you said, you picked up the vibration when you passed through that area. Sometimes we don't pick it up immediately, but I had this discussion, surprisingly, when you were telling the story. I reconnected last week. I had this discussion with a friend of mine, and she was talking about vibration, and she visited somebody, a family member actually, and she felt that she had come back with a lot of negative vibration, and she was asking me how to overcome that. So maybe you could help us today.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. And so wherever you are, if you're sitting, you just allow yourself to be comfortable. And firstly, with the meditation we practice, Raja Yoga, the first step, basic step yet important, is to relax the body. Allow the body to be comfortable in the chair. And firstly, take a very deep breath. Feel yourself bring the air right down to your stomach. So when you inhale, your body will not rise. Your stomach will fill with air. So just take a few deep breaths in that way, filling the lower stomach, lower lungs with air deeply. And now if you can move into the second step of Raja Yoga, where we withdraw the energy of our awareness inside. And we take the energy of our consciousness, our awareness, deep, deep, deep in the center of our forehead. And the more that we withdraw into this point and concentrate in this point, the more that we feel the essence of who I am. This beautiful being of consciousness, of energy that exists beyond time, beyond limits, that exists eternally, whose natural nature is one of love, deep happiness and peace. So I go deep into this essence of who I am. And I feel myself vibrating these vibrations of peace and love. And these vibrations are spreading through my body. They're spreading out into the room. And I hold this deep feeling with who I am eternally. And in this state, doubt is not even a question. Fear is non-existent. There's no word for it. I'm totally full and confident. And now I look out at the world through these eyes. And I hold the center of who I am. And as I look around at one scene, another scene, I observe it and I take the fragrance from it. I enjoy it. Yet I remain centered, totally centered in who I am. And in this state, I'm absolutely free. I'm vibrating above any of those lower vibrations. And all I need to do is maintain the attention to stay on the inside and stay connected with my true inner self. And sitting in this state, I spread vibrations out that others too may understand their inner self, their inner beauty, and step into a vibration of true self-belief. And now I allow my attention to return, yet I hold this beautiful connection with the inner self, full of all its beauty, love, peace, and happiness. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. That was nice. So, in order to immobilize fear and self doubt, one must refuse to allow the voice of fear and self doubt to be louder than the voice of who we truly are, our inner self. So, this is what we need to make it stronger and stronger by practicing it daily and focus more on what we have than what we are lacking.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Our first question, sister, is if a mistake is realized and corrected, how to overcome the fear of this mistake coming to surface?
Okay, so coming to surface again, maybe being repeated.
Being repeated,
Yeah.
or maybe because somebody doesn't know about it, and when it comes out to service and people will know about it.
Okay.
So it could be two possibilities here.
Yes. So maybe if it's you know, the one where of repeating a mistake. So for that one, I think we, you know, what we hold in our awareness, as we've looked at today, is so important. So I have to see myself living success. I have to see myself acting with success, not with mistake, because very often when there's fear, we repeatedly turn off over what we don't want, right? We turn it over again and again and again. And each time we turn it over, it has a vibration, it stores in our subconscious, then we create more thoughts on it. So we can't entertain it. So if we do have a fear of repeating a mistake, then we must actively visualize ourselves living with success, acting with success, because each time we see it and feel it and experience that success, it will create a positive memory in our subconscious. So thoughts that will come from that positive memory will be confident. It will override. We have to override the fear with recording a new memory of that situation, a new impression, visualization of that situation. So do you understand what I mean? So if I've got a strong fear of an exam, you know, failing an exam, and I keep thinking about it, each time I think about it and I have fear, I create another impression in my memory. So naturally the thoughts that come whenever I hear the word exam, there'll be fear. And if I accept it, it will create an even deeper impression, even though I'm not even having the exam. And so I have to visualize success. I see myself studying, feeling really good, exam is my friend, a chance to challenge me and to express my capability, going into the room, passing, looking at the questions, seeing them. Yes, they're good, answering them with enthusiasm, feeling good, leaving good. And that new memory will begin to override the fear. So it could be any situation, but I need to override what I've stored in my memory negatively around that event. That's the first thing. And the mistake coming to the surface, it's tricky, isn't it? Because sometimes when we're afraid of things coming out, then we might also do other things to try and prevent them coming out. And then they also can be things that maybe we also might, not feel good about, or we might ask other people to do things that, they also might not feel comfortable about. So I think we just maybe first is to step back and just really see how big that event is. It might look and feel really big now, but in the course of my life, in the course of what's happening in the world, perhaps it's not that big. And perhaps it might be better if I just face it head on, and it might be something that if I say sorry for, even though people may not know about it, but that at least I'll feel lighter and I'll be free from the fear of it coming out. It could be like that, but really I have to step back, and I would say get perspective. And maybe that event, what you could do is just put that event in front of you and move around it, even write it on a paper and move around it as you're seeing it, as maybe the wisest person in your life would see it and perceive it and respond to it. Maybe as, someone else would, or your neighbor. Just kind of move around and get different perspectives on it before you act. But particularly see it from the wisest person in your life. Try and catch their perspective of it, what they would do before you act. Yeah, I hope that is throwing some thoughts, and I hope something is useful.
Yeah, thank you, sister. We have another question here. I'm a shy female who just wants to make other female friends, and I can't help but to feel insecure about it each time I try. My self-doubt and fear of rejection makes it difficult to be around confident women.
Yeah.
Any motivating tips?
Yes, yeah. I used to be so unconfident. I can remember some of the first times when I spoke in public, or even, sometimes I had opportunities to do really good things and present, in front of the staff early on when I was teaching, and, promote very good projects. But I was so nervous that I'd just blow it each time because I was just so nervous I couldn't express myself. So I would say first, I would build your inner belief and love. First, work on the inside and build that beautiful feeling of who you are and your self-value, and sit with yourself and really feel that you are talking to yourself with such love and value, and begin that dialogue. How would the most special friend in the world speak to me? And you start speaking to yourself. Forget about other friends for now. I think the best thing is, let me be a very lovely friend to myself. So when I build that friendship with myself and I talk to myself in a beautiful way that supports me, that will start to come out in your vibration. And that way of talking to yourself with a lot of love and value, that will also, people will pick up that vibration, and you'll feel more secure because you're raising your vibration. You're kind of, it's like we get intimidated by someone that is vibrating confidence. Even it may not be real confidence. You know, they might just have the skill of confidence, but they may not have true self-belief. I work with lots of people like that, in you know, in TV and modeling and all sorts of, you know, Miss Universe. I work with a lot of those kind of people that are in the beauty competitions. Often they are so insecure inside, but they can project confidence on to some level. So we never know those people are really confident or they're projecting it, but internally they might not be. But let me first build that love and be a best friend to myself. And I think that should be the beginning of any friendship, that I have to first be a beautiful friend for myself. And just ask myself, how do I talk to myself when I'm a good friend for myself? What do I say to support myself, to enjoy my own company? How do I speak to myself when I make a mistake? And just start building that beautiful inner friendship. And then I think it will flow out more naturally when you're with others.
Thank you. That's very beautiful. I think it's very important because most of the time we dialogue with others so well. We can have a
Yes.
relationship conversation with others so well, beautifully. But with ourselves, we are so hard on ourselves.
Mm, yeah, really, really, really. So, you know, we almost need sort of some signals around, you know, like just it should be illegal to speak to ourselves badly, you know, because we're all doing the very best that we can. We are all so valuable. And the more that we accept that, we vibrate that. But you know, when we don't accept our value, we will vibrate with a lower vibration and speak to ourselves. Like, you know, when you think about it, people say, okay, you're going to meet someone important. You should speak well, dress well, speak politely. We're so careful with what we say to them, but then, you know, we have to be the most important people for ourselves. We have to speak to ourselves like we are addressing an important person, and each one of us is so important. How could there be anyone more important? And I think sometimes what's happened, and I know, I mean, we can't judge, but every country is different. But I know growing up in New Zealand, there was something, and Australia, although I didn't grow up there, but I spent a lot of time there. There was something called the tall poppy syndrome. And, you know, so that if you have that feeling, you know, like that you're good, you know, people will kind of, or confident, you know, they'll try and like cut you down. They'll beat you down. This was very much there when I was growing up. And because I moved away for so many years, I forgot about it until, you know, I spent some time in Australia a while ago, and I saw that in people. Sometimes people would share with me, and they, you know, they were so good, but the way they were speaking to themselves, and they said when they were young, their mother or father or teacher had said, don't be too big for your boots, right? It was, and you can understand what they were trying to say is don't be arrogant, be humble, which of course that we shouldn't be arrogant, and humility is a beautiful quality. But they forgot to show us how to live in the middle. And so we start to live on the other side. And I think this now, I'm just realizing what it is for myself. It's like in the culture, and I don't know what your culture is like, but Australia, New Zealand, very often it was like they don't want us to be arrogant. They wanted us to be humble, which means being polite and having manners and being respectful. So that's a good thing. But in their effort to create this, they usually created this because they didn't know how to put us in the middle. And so most of us ended up over here, right? So now we understand the beauty of the middle. Then we don't have to live in either of these. And we don't need to blame people or our family or anyone. were doing the best that they could, yet we have to very firmly live in the middle.
Yeah, that is actually connected to our next question, which says that how to deal with arrogance, what kind of language can we use to communicate to ourselves for this? So
when we are
Yeah.
being arrogant, if I'm being arrogant, yeah. This is, yes, you know, and it can be so subtle arrogance. So this, I mean, there's lots of different ways, but one way I'm working with myself at the moment, because of one of my special teachers sharing about this, and I think you also know, Jabin. So this practice of feeling I am the inner self sitting inside, and so I'm the director or the boss, and I have these three workers, right? And they, or servants if you want. Mind and my intellect that discerns every thought, my mind that thinks, my intellect that discerns every thought, and my subconscious or my memory. So I feel I'm sitting behind these three. And, you know, just like if you're paying people, you want to make sure that they're doing the job right? You don't want to pay a salary, especially nowadays. Things are tight. You don't want to pay money if they're not serving you. So I have that feeling my worker has to serve me and think the thoughts that will have value and stay in a feeling of self-respect and respect for others, not to go into a feeling of arrogance. And I know arrogance comes when I've moved away from the middle. I've moved outside to either side, superiority or inferiority, often superiority. So I just have to breathe and go back into the middle and feel that and check my mind. And with my intellect say, no, I'm not going to accept that kind of thought. That is not worthy of me. It's not worthy of me. Like that. So really sit with the feeling of being a master. You know, this is my mind. And I have the power to discern. That's what makes me a human being. So really feel that and know that arrogance comes when I move off my seat of true inner self-respect. So just breathe and get back on my seat. And again, like we did in the meditation, feel I'm looking again out through my eyes from that central point.
Okay, our last question for today is the line between self-confidence and overconfidence is very thin. How not to cross that line? How to have that awareness?
Yeah, that's the perfect question actually to finish with. And it's a really important thing to ask. So I'm glad whoever asked that. Thank you for asking it. You know, I asked that once to Daddy Janki, and many of you know her. She's a very special teacher who passed away almost 11 months ago, right? It's the anniversary soon, on the 27th of March. And so what she said, yes, she told me it's tricky. It's a tricky line. But the way that we can tell is when we are in true self-respect and we look out at others, we will automatically feel respect for them. There'll be no judgment, no criticism. And we'll be willing to learn from them. But when we get overconfident, which I would say is arrogant, and it's not really confident, it's confident in an external way. We can't say it's self-respect or self-value. It's a skill of confidence. It's not from the inside. So when we get there, then there will be judgment, disrespect, criticism, and also insecurity to one level or another. So if I'm really here and I look out at others, automatically, without trying, I will feel love and respect for them. But if I move over to here, there will be judgment at some level, criticism. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sister. Not to forget what you mentioned earlier, that if you feel that you are in that red card, it's because you have put somebody lower. So that's why
Yeah.
you are there.
Yeah. Yes.
That was a very nice point that
Yeah.
you made.
And you know, the thing is that then often when people are in that arrogance, you know, that people will see them and get impressed by them and think, well, they're really confident, but that's not true. And yeah, exactly. They got confidence by standing on someone else, not from the inside. And if you remove their role, if you remove their position, if you remove those things, no, they wouldn't feel confident. And I think this is also another way to tell that I have true self-respect, true self-belief. Things can go out of my life, change can happen in my life, and I still have this sense of my own inner value. I still value myself. And we have to check this. We should also check if something leaves my life, can I hold this deep sense of who I am? Or am I taking support from that thing to give me a sense of self-value? Then it will be either here or here, most likely here. So I should check, because sometimes we don't know. And I remember once, years and years ago, maybe like about 30 years ago, I went to a country, and you know, I had, in the country I'd been before, I had a really good job, earning a high salary, and then I felt, okay, now for some time I didn't have a job, and I noticed, you know, my feeling went down. I felt a bit unconfident, so I knew I was taking support from that role of, you know, maybe having plenty of money and being, it was giving me confidence. And when it wasn't there, I was feeling, yeah, not as good, not bad, but not as good. I noticed. So I thought, wow, this is really good. This is helping me see how deep my true self-belief is. And I realized I had to do more work. And so once I got a job, and I got another really good job and another good salary, but I was more careful not to take support from that.
Thank you, sister. It has been lovely. And we have gained so much. We have viewers on YouTube as well. And we have one of them
Lovely.
from Australia who says,
Oh,
thank you for
lovely.
a beautiful class. Love
Oh,
visualizing
thank you.
success.
Thank you. Really, it's been my honor to be with you. And thank you, Jabin, so much for arranging it. Yeah, just, yeah, hope it's useful. And I think even, you know, coming together in this way, each one of us talking about this topic, automatically we are raising the vibration. So I just really appreciate that. People taking the time to do that, to talk about these things. We raise the vibration by talking about it, just like we lower the vibration if we talk about gossip. We raise it by talking about these things and contemplating them. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And let us all try and practice remaining in this high vibration. So we will be having our next session will be on Saturday, the 20th of February at 4 in the evening, Jakarta time. I've dropped my number in case any of you would like to join. Do drop me a message so that I can update you with upcoming sessions. Until then, stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you.
Thank you.